The Story of Gulnare of the Sea by Arabian Folktale, brought to you by TellStory.net, stories from around the world. In ancient times, in the land of the Persians, there was a king named Shah Zaman who ruled from his palace in the city of Khorasan. His residence stood on the shore of the sea, in a place called the White City. Though he was wealthy and powerful, grief weighed upon his heart, for he had reached the later years of his life without being blessed with a child. Day after day, he lamented that he had no heir to inherit his kingdom as he had inherited it from his fathers before him. One day, while the king sat in his palace, a servant entered and said,
"My lord, at the door is a slave girl with a merchant. None more beautiful than she has been seen."
The king ordered them brought before him. When the merchant uncovered the girl's face, the palace seemed to brighten with her beauty. 7 locks of hair hung from her forehead down to her ankles. She was wrapped in silk embroidered with gold, as straight and slender as a lance.
"For how much is this girl to be sold?"
"My lord, I purchased her for 2,000 pieces of gold, and I have traveled with her for 3 years. She has cost me 3,000 pieces of gold in total, but she is a gift from me to you."
The king was pleased and gave the merchant 10,000 pieces of gold and a magnificent robe of honor. Then he ordered the women of the palace to take the girl to a private chamber overlooking the sea, to dress her properly and attend to all her needs. When the king visited her, she did not rise to greet him or acknowledge his presence. He thought perhaps she had been with people who had not taught her proper manners. Yet her beauty was so extraordinary, her face like the full moon in a clear sky, that he could not be angry with her. The king seated himself beside her, embraced her, and kissed her lips, which he found sweeter than honey. He ordered tables brought with the finest foods, and he ate and fed her until she was satisfied. But she spoke not a single word. He asked her name, but she remained silent, hanging her head toward the ground. What protected her from his anger was only her beauty and gentle manner. The king asked the female servants whether she had spoken, and they told him she had not uttered a word since her arrival. He brought singers and musicians to entertain her, hoping she might speak, but she only watched in silence. The king's heart grew heavy with concern, yet his love for her only increased. He set aside all his other wives and favorites, devoting himself entirely to her. A whole year passed, seeming like a single day, and still she did not speak. One day, when his longing had become almost unbearable, the king said to her,
"O desire of my soul, truly my love for you is great. I have given up everything for your sake and been patient with you for a whole year. I pray to God that He will soften your heart toward me and that you will speak to me. If you are unable to speak, give me a sign so that I may know. I also pray that God will bless us with a son to inherit my kingdom after me, for I am alone with no heir, and my years grow many. I beg you, if you love me, give me some reply."
The girl hung her head in thought. Then she raised it and smiled at him. And when she smiled, it seemed as though lightning filled the chamber. She said,
"O generous king, God has answered your prayer. I am going to bring you a child, and the time is nearly come. Were it not that I knew this, I would not have spoken to you."
When the king heard these words, his face lit up with joy. He kissed her hands and said,
"Praise be to God who has favored me with what I desired. First, your speaking, and second, your news that you will bear my child."
He arose and ordered his vizier to distribute 100,000 pieces of gold to the poor as a thanksgiving offering. Then he returned to her and asked,
"My mistress, why have you been silent all this time? You have been with me a whole year, awake and asleep, yet you have not spoken until this day."
"Hear, O king, and know that I am a stranger, broken-hearted, separated from my mother and my family and my brother.
As for saying you are a stranger, all my kingdom and possessions are yours. As for your mother and family and brother, tell me where they are, and I will send for them and bring them to you.
Know that my name is Gulnare of the Sea. My father was one of the kings of the sea, and when he died, he left us his kingdom. But while we were enjoying it, another king came and took it from us. I have a brother named Salah, and my mother is one of the women of the sea. I quarreled with my brother and swore that I would throw myself into the hands of a man of the land. So I came out of the sea and sat upon the shore of an island in the moonlight. A man passed by and took me and sold me to the merchant from whom you bought me. This merchant was an excellent, virtuous man of religion and kindness. But if your heart had not loved me, and if you had not shown me preference above all your wives, I would not have remained with you even 1 hour. I would have thrown myself from this window into the sea and returned to my family. But I was ashamed to go to them, for they would not believe me, even if I swore to them that a king had purchased me and chosen me above all others. This is my story.
The king thanked her and kissed her forehead.
By God, O light of my eyes, I cannot endure separation from you for even 1 hour. If you leave me, I shall die. But what shall we do?
O my lord, the time of birth is near, and my family must come.
But how do they walk in the sea without being wet?
We walk in the sea as you walk upon the land, through the power of the names engraved upon the seal of Solomon. When my family comes, I will tell them that you bought me with your money and treated me with kindness. They will see your state with their own eyes and know that you are a king.
Do what seems best to you, for I will agree to whatever you wish.
Know that in the sea we walk with our eyes open and see what is in it, the sun, moon, stars, and sky, just as on land. All that is on land, compared to what is in the sea, is very small.
The king marveled at her words. Then Gulnare took a piece of aloe wood, lit a fire in a brazier, and threw the wood into it. She spoke words that no one understood, and a great cloud of smoke arose. She said to the king,
Hide yourself in that closet, so you may see my brother and mother and family without them seeing you. I want to show you a wonder and the strange forms that God has created.
The king concealed himself and watched. Gulnare continued burning incense and speaking strange words until the sea foamed and grew agitated. Out of it came a handsome young man with shining forehead, red cheeks, and hair like pearls and jewels. He was the most like his sister of all creation. After him came an elderly woman with gray hair, accompanied by 5 young women who resembled moons. The king watched as they walked upon the surface of the water until they reached the window. When Gulnare saw them, she rose joyfully to meet them. They came to her and embraced her, weeping. They said,
"O Gulnare, how could you leave us for 4 years? We have had no joy in food or drink, weeping night and day from our longing to see you."
Gulnare kissed her brother's hand, her mother's hand, and the hands of her cousins. They sat with her and asked about her life and what had happened to her. She said to them,
Know that when I left you and came from the sea, I sat on the shore of an island. A man took me and sold me to a merchant, who brought me to this city and sold me to its king for 10,000 pieces of gold. He has treated me with great attention, set aside all his other wives for my sake, and has given me everything I could desire.
When her brother heard this, he said,
Praise be to God who has reunited us with you, but I wish you would come with us to our country and our family.
When the king heard these words from his hiding place, his reason nearly fled from fear that she would accept her brother's proposal and leave him. But Gulnare said,
By God, brother, the man who bought me is the king of this city, and he is a great and generous king of the utmost kindness. He has treated me with honor and shown me every favor. From the day I came to him until now, I have not heard a word from him that would grieve my heart. He has treated me with nothing but courtesy, and I am living with him in perfect comfort. If I left him, he would die, for he cannot endure my separation even for 1 hour. I also, if I left him, would die of love for him because of his kindness to me. Even if my father were alive, my condition with him would not be as good as my condition with this great king. God has compensated me well. Since the king has no children, I pray God will bless me with a son who may inherit this great king's palaces and possessions."
When her brother and cousins heard her words, their faces brightened. They said,
O Gulnare, you know our love for you. You are the dearest of all people to us, and we desire only your comfort. If you are not comfortable here, come with us to our country. But if you are in honor and happiness, this is our wish.
By God, I am in the utmost comfort, honor, and happiness.
When the king heard these words, he rejoiced and thanked her. His love for her reached to the core of his heart, and he knew that she loved him as he loved her. Gulnare ordered the servants to bring food. She supervised the preparation of the meal herself, and the servants brought viands and fruits. She and her family ate together. Afterward, her family said,
O Gulnare, your husband is a stranger to us. We have entered his home without his permission. You have praised him to us and brought us his food, and we have eaten, but we have not seen him. He has not seen us or come into our presence or eaten with us, so that the bond of bread and salt might be established between us.
They all stopped eating, and fire began to issue from their mouths. When the king saw this from his hiding place, his reason fled from fear. But Gulnare rose and soothed them. Then she went to the closet where the king was hiding and said,
Oh, my lord, did you see how I thanked you and praised you to my family? Did you hear what they said, that they wanted to take me to our country?
The king answered,
I heard and saw everything. May God reward you. I did not know the extent of the love you feel for me until this blessed hour.
Oh, my lord, the reward of goodness is nothing but goodness. How could my heart be happy to leave you? Now I wish that you would come and greet my family so they may see you and know that you are truly a king. My brother, mother, and cousins have conceived a great love for you from my praise. They will not return to our country until they meet with you and greet you.
I hear and obey, for this is what I desire.
He rose and went to them, greeting them with the finest greeting. They hastened to rise and meet him with the utmost courtesy. He sat with them in the pavilion, ate with them, and remained with them for 30 days. Then they wished to return to their home. After this, Gulnare gave birth to a boy who resembled the moon at its full. The king experienced the greatest happiness, for he had never been blessed with a child in all his life. They continued the celebrations for 7 days, decorating the city in joy. On the 7th day, Gulnare's mother, brother, and cousins returned when they learned she had given birth. The king met them with great happiness and said,
I wanted to wait until you came before naming my son, so you could name him according to your knowledge.
They named him Bedr Basim, which means full moon of smiling beauty, and they all agreed on this name. Gulnare's brother Salah took the baby in his arms, rose, and walked through the palace. Then he went out and descended into the sea with the child, walking until he disappeared from the king's sight. When the king saw his son taken and disappear beneath the sea, he despaired and began to weep. But Gulnare said to him,
O king, do not fear or grieve for your son. I love my child more than you do, and he is with my brother. Salah would not do anything that would harm the child. Soon he will bring your son back to you safe, if it is the will of God.
A short time later, the sea became agitated, and Salah emerged carrying the child, who was silent and whose face shone like the full moon. Salah looked at the king and said,
Perhaps you feared some injury to your son when I descended into the sea with him.
Yes, O my lord, I feared for him and did not think he would come out safe.
O king of the land, we applied to his eyes a special lotion that we know, and we recited over him the names engraved upon the seal of Solomon. When a child is born among us, we do this for him. Do not fear for him drowning or suffocation in all the seas, for we walk in the sea just as you walk upon the land.
Then Salah took from his pocket a sealed case. He opened it and scattered its contents, strung jewels of all kinds, including jacinths and gems, along with 300 oblong emeralds and 300 large jewels the size of ostrich eggs. Their light was more brilliant than the light of the sun and moon. Salah said,
O king, these jewels are a gift from me to you. We never brought you a present before because we did not know where Gulnare was. Now that we have become united with you and your family, we bring you this gift. Every few days we will bring you more like it, for these jewels are more plentiful with us than gravel on land. We know where the excellent ones are found, and they are easy for us to obtain.
When the king looked at the jewels, his mind was overwhelmed. He said,
By God, even one of these jewels is worth my entire kingdom.
He thanked Salah for his generosity. Gulnare thanked her brother as well, but Salah said,
O king, it is we who must thank you, for you have treated my sister with such kindness. Even if we served you for 1,000 years, we could not repay you.
Salah and his family remained with the king for 40 days. Then he arose and kissed the ground before the king. The king asked,
What do you wish, O Salah?
O king, we ask your permission to depart, for we have become desirous of seeing our family and country again. But we will never stop serving you, my sister, and your son. Though leaving you is not pleasant to our hearts, we were raised in the sea, and the land is not agreeable to us.
When the king heard this, he stood and bid farewell to Salah, his mother, and his cousins. They wept at the parting and promised to visit often. Then they flew toward the sea, descended into it, and disappeared. The king continued to treat Gulnare with great kindness and honor. The child grew well, and his uncle Salah, grandmother, and cousins came to visit every few days, staying for a month before returning to their realm. The boy grew in beauty and grace until he reached 15 years of age. He learned writing, reading, history, grammar, archery, horsemanship, and everything required of a prince. He became incomparable in beauty, perfect in form, and everyone in the city spoke of his excellence. The king loved him greatly. The king summoned his vizier, emirs, and all the great men of the kingdom, and made them swear binding oaths that they would make Bedr Basim king after him. They all swore and rejoiced. The next day, the king and all his nobles rode in procession to the palace. With great ceremony, they seated Bedr Basim upon the throne of the kingdom, while the king and all the emirs stood before him. The young prince began to judge the people, removing the unjust from office and appointing the just, giving wise judgments until midday. Then he went to his mother Gulnare, wearing the crown upon his head and looking like the moon itself. When his mother saw him with his father standing before him in honor, she rose, kissed him, and congratulated him on becoming sultan. She prayed for him and his father to have long life and victory over their enemies. Every day after that, Bedr Basim would ride with the nobles to the training grounds, practicing with weapons until evening, then return to judge the people with justice. He continued this way for a whole year, then began to go hunting and travel through the cities under his rule, proclaiming safety and security and governing as kings should. He became incomparable in glory, courage, and justice. One day, the old king fell ill. His heart began to fail, and he knew his time was near. His condition worsened until he was near death. He summoned his son and instructed him to care for his subjects, his mother, and all the officials of the empire. He made them all swear again to obey his son. After a few more days, he died and was admitted to the mercy of God. Bedr Basim, his mother Gulnare, and all the officials mourned him. They built a tomb and buried him with honor, continuing the mourning ceremonies for a full month. Salah, Gulnare's brother, came with their mother and cousins to offer consolation. They said,
O Gulnare, though the king has died, he has left this excellent son. He who has left such as this has not truly died. This young man has no equal, a noble lion and a splendid moon.
The nobles went to King Bedr Basim and comforted him, saying mourning belonged to women, not kings. They conducted him to the bath, and when he emerged, they dressed him in a magnificent suit woven with gold and adorned with jewels. They placed the royal crown upon his head and seated him upon the throne of his kingdom. He performed the duties of kingship, judging fairly between the strong and weak, exacting justice for the poor from the powerful. The people loved him exceedingly. He continued to rule justly for many years, and his sea family visited him regularly throughout his life. His days were pleasant, and his reign prosperous, and thus he lived until he too was visited by the end that comes to all. This is the conclusion of their story, and may the mercy of God be upon them all.